Here, back at the Fantasy Bar with your Week 8 NFL six-pack, including some of my favorite values, and we'll answer the question, which Tampa Bay wide receiver do I want? Some of my favorite correlations. We'll go cheap at the quarterback position with some upside, and of course, my favorite play on the entire slate who went absolutely nuclear against his opponent last time out. Who we talking about? Only one way to find out. It's time to belly up to the Fantasy Bar. Welcome in, guys. Week 8 edition Beers Daily Fantasy Six-Pack. Thank you, as always, for stopping by the Fantasy Bar and checking out today's video. Before we get into those plays for Week 8, let's quickly recap Week 7. So week for us. Tank Dell, my man, what happened? A bagel definitely hurt us, but we did get touchdowns out of Brian Robinson, David Njoku, who had a big game, and our Beast of the Week, Justin Jefferson. Congrats to our Beast of the Week contest winners. Running it back this week with a chance to win some free RotoGrinders scores and odds premium. If you haven't already, take a second, click that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. And check out splashsports.com/RotoGrinders. We've been talking about it here for quite some time. What are you waiting for? Splash Sports still running lots of Survivor Revival tournaments, as well as Pick'em and Fantasy Tiers contests. You can join our community games at splashsports.com/RotoGrinders. And if you use promo code Roto10 upon sign up, you'll get a $10 bonus. And for a limited time, play $20 in quick pick entries, and you'll get an additional $10 bonus. And exclusively for those who use Roto10, you'll get an additional $20 in credits when you play $50 in entries by the end of October. So check out Splash Sports today. Be sure to use that promo code Roto10 to get all the best bonuses available. All right, let's dig into Week 8. Couple notes here. First of all, the Miami Dolphins expected to get Tua Tagovailoa back. That obviously is going to lead to big ownership on these Dolphins. Don't have an issue with it. Just not going to include them here in the video, along with Breece Hall, who remains way too cheap on both sites, under 8,000, and he could be very popular. Now, all great plays this week, but we want to give you some looks outside of those spots in Miami and Breece Hall. All right, let's get rolling here for Week 8 at wide receiver with T. Higgins of Cincinnati. So Higgins getting a ton of targets in this offense, averaging almost 10 targets per game here over the last month, and he's getting a lot of first read looks here from Joe Burrow. A little surprising with Jamar Chase also on that team, but it's T. Higgins getting those looks. And not that Chase isn't. This is certainly one of those narrow target trees, but Higgins leading the entire NFL with a 42% first read target share over the last month. I think this game definitely has shootout potential with Philadelphia here. Eagles giving up a ton of production to the wide receiver position, 7th most fantasy points, and they've given up 7 touchdowns already to wideouts. I think T. Higgins continues his hot streak here against this awful Philadelphia secondary. All right, let's go to quarterback and get some cheap value with Bo Nix of Denver. So Bo Nix really checks a lot of boxes for me here. First of all, price, super cheap, under 6,000 on DraftKings, under 7,000 on FanDuel. The rushing upside, which we'll talk about here in a minute. A great matchup here with the Carolina Panthers, and a lot of cheap stacking partners, a lot of cheap pieces like Troy Franklin, who he has that college connection with. I don't mind going back to Cortland Sutton after a down game last time out, even tight end Lucas Kroll on the cheap, but I don't think you have to stack Bo Nix with anybody. It's the rushing ability is why. 136 rushing yards over the last 2 games. Guys, that's Lamar Jackson-like production. Is he Lamar Jackson? No, but that's now 5 games of 25 or more rushing yards, 4 games of 35 or more rushing yards. So tacking on all those extra points to what he's going to do through the air. And it's a great matchup for him to do both here. Carolina 3rd most passing touchdowns allowed already, 14. 4th most fantasy points allowed, and 11th most rushing yards allowed to the quarterback position. Bo Nix, whether you stack him or not, huge upside with that rushing ability and a dream matchup with Carolina. All right, let's go to the running back position next and roll with Kareem Hunt of the Chiefs. So this Chiefs offense has really kind of switched from the Patrick Mahomes show to the defense, and Kareem Hunt leading the way as the workhorse running back. And the key, we're not paying workhorse prices. Now, FanDuel getting up there, don't hate that $8,100 price point, but DraftKings way down at $6,300. A lot of guys in that range I think people are going to be more excited about, including Javonte Williams, who we did not mention in the Bo Nix section, but nice leverage with Nix off a potential chalky Javonte Williams. But Hunt, 24.5 carries, 90 rushing yards, and 22 DraftKings points per game over the last 2. Gets another smash spot here. Chiefs 10-point favorites, should see plenty of work on the ground, and the Raiders been giving it up. Bottom 10 in rushing yards, 6 rushing touchdowns already allowed, bottom 10 there as well. And of course, fantasy points allowed. Compare him with the Chiefs defense. Las Vegas has already surrendered 5 top 5 performances to defense, so a free bonus pick there on the defense. Love the pairing of Kareem Hunt and that Chiefs defense. All right, let's go to the other side of that game with some correlation at tight end with Brock Bowers. Now, I don't even hate the Hunt, Chiefs defense, and Brock Bowers pairing up of all three. Normally, don't like your defense against opposing players, but the Raiders have been that bad. It does not affect my outlook on Brock Bowers. 10-point underdogs here, so likely throwing a ton in this game. No Devontae Adams, so the target's going to continue to be there. And Bowers ranks top 10 in the entire league among all pass catchers. 6th in targets, 2nd most receptions, behind only Chris Godwin. So the price, I think a lot of people are going to shy away, going to go cheaper. Guys like Cade Otton, going to be appealing here for people. But this guy is putting up wide receiver-like numbers at just 6,100. So don't overlook Brock Bowers here, especially with this matchup. Not only are they going to be throwing a lot, it's going to be an advantageous spot here against Kansas City. 2nd most receptions, 2nd most receiving yards, and the most fantasy points allowed to tight ends. I think Brock Bowers, even at those prices, too cheap. Great spot here against the Kansas City Chiefs. All right, let's get you some value at wide receiver next with Jaylen McMillan of Tampa Bay. So obvious value to be had here. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, both out of the lineup. Cade Otton certainly going to draw some attention after his big game. But I think the ownership amongst Jaylen McMillan, Sterling Shepard, and Trey Palmer are going to kind of spread out between all three. No one's really sure which guy's going to benefit the most. Look, we've seen Palmer, we've seen Shepard. We know the upside is there with Jaylen McMillan. Going back to his days at the University of Washington, fantastic production there in that offense. And I think that pedigree is going to rise to the surface here with all of these injuries. Good matchup here as well. The Falcons have a lot of big games. 2 wide receivers, bottom 10 in receptions, receiving touchdowns, and fantasy points allowed. I think you mix all three into your builds with Jaylen McMillan. My favorite this week against the Atlanta Falcons. All right, it's time. Take a look at my favorite play for Week 8. Before we do that, let's continue our Beast of the Week contest. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button, then head to the comment section and guess fantasy points for my Beast of the Week on DraftKings. Whoever's guess is the closest, you're going to win your choice of a free month of RotoGrinders Premium, a free month of Scores and Odds Premium, or some free RotoGrinders swag. All right, let's wrap it up with my favorite play for Week 8. No matter, Beast of the Week. All right, Beast time. One spot stood head and shoulders above the rest for me, and that is at the running back position with Joe Mixon of the Texans, this week's Beast of the Week. So blow-up spot here for Joe Mixon. We've already seen this matchup back in Week 1. 30 carries, 159 rushing yards, and a touchdown in that game. And it's just been getting so much work in this Texans offense, averaging over 19 carries a game, over 100 rushing yards per game, and over 24 DraftKings points per game this season. Now, the Texans have been very balanced between the rushing and the passing attack. Now, the Colts defense has seen the lowest pass rate over expectation against opposing teams. What does that mean? Teams are not throwing as much as you'd expect on the Colts. Why? Because they know they can run the ball here. 3rd most rushing yards allowed. Texans, solid 5-point home favorites here. Love the spot. Joe Mixon, easily my favorite play on the board in this week's Beast of the Week. All right, guys, that'll do it for our Week 8 six-pack. As always, any comments, questions, or feedback, hit me up in that comment section right below the video or on Twitter at Beermakersfan. Don't forget, your guess for Joe Mixon's fantasy output on DraftKings for a shot to win some free RotoGrinders Scores and Odds Premium or some free RotoGrinders swag. Check out splashsports.com/RotoGrinders. Ton of great contests over there once again. And my Pints and Picks is back. 2 prop bets I love this week. Check that out over on our Scores and Odds YouTube page for RotoGrinders.com. I am Beer saying salut. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Best of luck here in Week 8, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for checking out our videos. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more DraftKings, FanDuel, and other DFS content. And you can check out our daily live show schedule on RotoGrinders.com/videos.